think it's done. Yeah.
Hi everyone, a very good evening to all of you and welcome Deepa and to all the ones who've joined in today. Deepa is a practicing career design counselor specializing in a niche career intervention of life design counseling, LDC it's called. She specifically guides in professionals experiencing career dilemmas through a unique and individualized career counseling approach of LDC. Through this process, she assists clients in arriving at feasible and implementable solutions for their career related issues. After graduating in civil engineering, she moved to information technology and worked in the IT space for almost 15 years in the areas of business intelligence and analytics. See change for you, Deepa. She completed her executive general management program from IIM Bangalore during this period. Her innate interest in understanding human behavior drove her to make a career transition to psychology and get into a learning, studying phase again. She completed her diploma in counseling skills and is a certified mental health counselor. She then pursued and completed her master's in counseling psychology and grew from being a mental health counselor to a career design counselor in this course. She studied the impact of counseling in handling the mid career crisis for her research and master's. Her own personal experience of the emotional dilemma faced when deciding to leave her corporate job aided her in appreciating the usefulness of LDC for mid career professionals and putting it into practice. Currently, she is also working towards publishing her novel research in a reputed academic journal. Deepa is also a certified corporate and life skills trainer and conducted workshops for a few corporate companies. We welcome you, Deepa, today. And over to you on a very interesting topic. And for the audience who joined in, Divya, Snigdha, Saras, please feel free to ask any questions. It's not really a webinar, but it's more of a conversation which we will be having with Deepa today. Over to you, Deepa.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, thank you, Rajpreet, for this warm introduction. And I mean, I think it's my privilege to be part of this platform of yours, Sechis. Uh, and also thank you for everyone for coming into this conversation. So, let me start off uh, going about my topic. As I have mentioned, it is more about how does career design counseling handle mid-career dilemmas. Okay, so how I plan to cover this topic is I would like to just make it in 3 points. First of all, what are the career dilemmas we face and why at this context do we have a lot of dilemmas, right? And why career design counseling? Okay. Then how is career design counseling beneficial? Okay, and what is the process basically? What is the process when I say career design counseling? What is the process I follow? Okay, so let's and maybe once I complete one topic, feel free to ask me questions as well if you have any. So career dilemmas. I think we all have been hearing this word on and off. So and I mean most of us have also experienced it at some stage in our career. Like basically when it's to the early entry stage, it is more about what career to choose. Then when it comes to a middle stage, it is more about how do you move about now, how do you navigate your career from a mid career to a next stage. Okay, so career dilemma is basically the confusion we face in our mind in terms of how do we go ahead and approach our careers. So when I say approach our careers, see now why do we have this problem now? So this is basically because the careers as of now are no more a linear flow or a linear trajectory. What do you call it? It's no more like you enter a job and you be in that company till the retirement. So the concept of this career is changed. It is no more uh, like a traditional career. So it is more like you move on from, it's more like become like project where you build your skills, you move from one company to another, or maybe based on your skills, or maybe you move into a altogether different line based on your passion or your interest. So that's how it is evolved. So when this evolution of careers is taken place in this current digital space, so there comes a confusion. See, once you move ahead and you establish a career, that's a different aspect. But the decision to make, so that's a lot of confusion most of us face, right? So how do I go about making this decision? Okay, if I want to transition to a different career, how do I go about it? What are the steps? Am I doing the right? Am I taken the right choice, right decision? So all these are the dilemmas most of us face in this present context. So basically, there are three things. One is in terms of establishing clarity in our career direction. So that is what most of us look into. Then second one is in terms of finding a right role. Okay, right role which matches our expectations or aspirations. So that's a challenge most of us face. Like mostly in mid-career stage, many of us face finding a right role. Okay. And thirdly, it is more about whether you need to transition to a different industry or different sector. Okay, you have decided you want to do something different. How do you go about it? Do you want to go move to a different industry altogether or different sector? How is it? So all these are the dilemmas which most of us face in the current context. Okay. So now coming to counseling. So as of so any questions as far as why career dilemmas and all that?
No, 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 not really. But just that I want to highlight, Rajpreet, on the YouTube stream, um, your picture is the bigger one and it's frozen, and Deepa is the smaller one. So I'm just trying to fix that part.
Okay.
But it's all visible, and I mean, there's no issue with the live streaming.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
you can.
yeah, moving ahead. Yeah. So moving ahead. So we are like understood what career dilemmas is all about. Okay. So now how do we address it? So counseling has been a practice which is more of it helps people, like it's a platform which is an interactive platform basically where where it's a relationship which is built between counselor and counselee, where the counselee feels empowered in terms of his or her challenges gets addressed in a non-judgmental fashion. Okay, that's what the basic counseling process is all about. So same thing when you say career counseling, same thing is drawn to a career. So when somebody comes with a concern in career or in a life, the concern is a concern. Okay, so how do you go about addressing it? So that's where career design counseling, which is nothing but the latest intervention in career counseling, okay, which is actually come into existence from past 10 to 12 years. Okay, and it is more or less followed in West to a certain extent, to a large extent, but not so much in Asian countries. So this is an intervention basically, which goes about addressing the subjective aspects of a person's career challenges. Okay, so now why career design counseling? So whenever a person, so in career design counseling, the career aspect is taken in its entirety. Okay, so counseling as such is when a person comes with a challenge, a concern to his career. So the process as such is deals with the first of all addresses the concern and helps the person reflect through his own career journey. See, this reflection of career journey helps a person to actually open up and maybe when I say reflection, it is more about his experiences in his career journey. See, we all, once you complete 10 to 15 years, we may all have worked at 3 or 4 companies, most of us. So there are a lot of experiences. Some of it get bottled up, some days the way why we shift companies. So all these things, once you actually reflect on the whole career journey, there comes I mean that's which it this helps us to get into a different perspective in terms of most of our emotions are processed, right? So when I say emotions are processed, it is more about, it could be more about, see, it's the counselor who draws you into these conversations of the career history, listens to you and draws you along your conversation, like maybe the challenges you faced, maybe it could be anything. Some of them would have had a toxic relationship, or some of with the peers or the bosses. Some of them would have left a company because of not happy with the appraisal or things like that. So all these things, once you reflect upon it, comes there is a new perspective which gets evolved. So that's where the career history, the career history is actually narrated by the client in this career design counseling. Okay, so counselor here listens to the career history, and through the conversation, see, there are a lot of beliefs. Most of us would be having mental blocks, beliefs, and also this is also equally there from a career perspective. Also, like some of us feel that maybe this is not for us. maybe this role, I am a purely a technical person, I don't think I can get into any. So while it is more of that person's innate interest, there could also be like, see, there is a lot of challenge why the person feels like that. Maybe previous experience of person would have made him come up with some of these beliefs like this. Or maybe there is, see, like I had a client who said me that, see, I don't think senior managers, they hardly know anything. They're just there to send mails and they make the team members do all the work and they just shoot out the mails and get the credit. See, when a client says like this, it is more about somewhere the belief he's had experience of that sort, right? So and he's come up with these beliefs. So it's this is where the counseling as a process would help him come out of these sort of mental blocks. Okay, so it is not about like all senior managers are in the same circle. And see what happens when you have beliefs like this. So these beliefs, I mean, make you, your decisions will be more reactive. It will not be more. It will not be more of rational decisions what you take. So people leave companies. Maybe they are either they don't like the boss or they don't. So nobody's saying you don't have to leave companies, but when the decisions are more taken from a very rational perspective, like you plan ahead, you do things like that. So that's where this narration of career history, identifying the mental blocks, the belief systems, and more or less using the techniques of counseling. Okay, so there are counseling as such has got a lot of techniques in terms of how do you go about change, CBT, like how do you go about changing the thought, attitudes, beliefs, mm, and maybe which will also help the client change the action. So these techniques could be used, but again, it is based on a case-to-case basis, how the person wants to address it. So these are the challenges which would be addressed, and the final goal is when a client comes to something like career design counseling, he has to, what is his concern should be addressed. Now his concern and there should be some decision made. So that's what so would be addressed as you go. Like it's mainly consecuting of 2 sessions of 1 to 1.5 hour each after a gap of 10 days. Okay, so by the time the second session is reached, the client should more or less be, after the whole reflective process and some assignments given by the counselor to the client would more or less be in a stage where he makes some decisions could be anything, whether he wants to leave a job or whether whatever it is. So whether he wants to maybe apply somewhere or he wants to study something new. Some of them have this challenge of, I need to do some certification, whether it's functional or tech, but not sure how do I go, what should I do? Because technology is changing so frequently, I don't know whether my skill set will be valued. So these are the challenges which is actually most of us face in the present context. How do we go about it? How do you build in that adaptability factors, the career adapt? How do you adapt to certain situations? So these are the areas which would be addressed through the process of counseling. Okay, and also yeah.
So, Deepa,
Any
we have
questions?
some questions.
Yeah.
Snigdha has asked a question. What are the triggers we should look for? Being being unhappy with what you are doing is enough of a reason to conclude. Uh, Deepa, you would like to address that. Thanks, Snigdha, for the question. And Deepa, I'll first, leave it with you to answer.
Yeah, if I got your question correctly, Snigdha, you are saying what are the triggers we should look for?
Yes.
So when you say triggers, I mean, what context are you talking about? Can you just, is it like you're saying
What
in terms of like leaving the job or in terms of, I mean, what is that? Can you just elaborate on that? Or maybe you can type it down.
yeah, I should have been a little more discreet when I was dropping the question. What I mean is, what all factors as an individual, if I'm working, I should look for. Uh, if I have to take a plunge, if I need to change the job, being unhappy with what I'm doing is enough of a reason. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, see, now your question here is what are the factors you should look for? See, that depends on, see, there are two things here. One is objectively you want to leave your job, right? But in the subjective side, inside you are having this, there is what are the reasons behind which you want to leave the job, right? So that is one thing you need to see. Okay, what are the reasons? That's something which needs to be addressed. Now based on all these decisions, now leaving a job is a huge decision. Okay,
Yeah.
whether you want to, so you need to consider all those factors which are available. What is that you want to do after you leave the job? It should not be a erratic decision that you feel that you want to I'm happy with my environment, so I want to leave the job. So that's what happens when you take erratic decisions is, even if you go to other side, I mean, you leave the job and you want to do something, maybe you're still in your old state of mind. Like, you cause see, when you come, when it comes to leaving a job and all, when you actually see, there's a lot of identity factor also involved in these aspects, right? See, for example, my own personal, I was working in corporate for 15 years. Okay, so like, I was interested in psychology is one thing, and I left the. This thought process was there in my mind that I need to do something in psychology. But yeah, and 5 6 months I was thinking around it, and one fine day I resigned. But even then, for me to really think about, I was not in a comfortable space where I really say people, yeah, I left my corporate job, I want to do something, because somewhere it is like I'm a IT professional, always ringing in my head. So that's where that identity comes. Okay, so those sort of, I mean, these decisions like this, we need to like take all factors. What is that we want to do, and plan ahead. Yeah, that is what I would say. Plan it properly. Do some due diligence in terms of what is that you want to do. What are the available options? What are the available resources? How talk to people. Talk to your networking group. Okay, talk to people in terms of how can you go about building, or maybe you can do a 50-50. Like, maybe you can, I mean, if that is options are available in your company, like work for some time, and maybe all during the weekends you can like that. If you plunge in that way, it would be more easier, right? So the main point is, see, decisions are fine, but how do you go about taking the decision, and how do you go about implementing what you want to do?
Thank you, Deepa. This helps.
Uh, yeah, I hope I have answered your question, or you have some.
You did. Thank you, Deepa.
Okay. Okay. So that's what the counseling process, what I'm doing is also the same thing, which helps a person to make decisions in a rational fashion. Now, decision may not be quitting a job. Somebody else want to actually move up the career or do something else, or maybe do a different course. But again, there is a confusion. There's a state of confusion which needs to be addressed. So that is what this career counseling is all about. Okay.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Deepa. I think, Snigdha, that was a great question, and a lot of women, do go through a lot of dilemmas like these, and I'm sure there's no one straight answer to it, but it's a very case-specific, situation-specific answer, which needs to be discussed in depth, and as Deepa was mentioning. So Deepa, as you were speaking, what came to my mind was also something like ikigai. When earlier we used to pursue a career, when we really take a decision towards our career, at that time we are not very sure if that is really our passion. And then
Yeah.
after working for a few years, we are at times in a position to really figure it out. And I've also experienced it. So,
Yeah.
while we are working with a lot of women at SECHIs to help them even get placed if they face a mid-career crisis, be it because of family or because of they feel that, they are not at the right place. Um, what else, apart from upskilling, or what else are the options for women to then explore at that time? Or
Yeah.
coming to a coach or counselor.
Yeah. I mean, very truly said, Rajpreet. I mean, mid-career crisis, it's a well-researched topic in academics. See, let's come back to why people are facing. You know what happens when you reach them, like, as you said, when we enter a career, most of us get into professions. Like, maybe, see, for example, I from civil got into IT. Why? Because IT was booming at that point of time, booming industry. So I did a course in IT. It's not as simple. I just did a course and got into it. I faced challenges there also, but I could establish. So I got into IT. So it's like, what at that point of we enter into it because our priorities in life were different that time. It is more of building a career and all. So towards the end, when you come to mid-career stage, what happens is the age also becomes a factor. Like, usually this crisis and all starts from the age of 30 to 40, 45. Okay. It could go on to mid-career crisis or dilemma. So that's where, like, we have certain experiences with us, our values, our expectations, our needs, everything starts changing. So when it comes to a woman, it is more of the domesticities involved, which again they start rethinking in terms of family orientations. Like, maybe I need to spend some time more here till the kids are grown up. or something. I mean, all these factors come into picture. So where they start change, their priorities change. So yeah, when you say passion is something like when you say something which maybe it is there inside us. Like for me, I was always interested in psychology. But yeah, why I didn't get to psychology earlier stage was again the same thing. I was not sure like what to do, how to do, and all that stuff at that point of time when there was no Google and no information available. So yeah, so some of us take this decision. Like you, for example, came out of a financial sector and found the need for a networking platform. So I think some of them make decision based on this. So now, why did you not make this platform earlier? No, you could not. So this is the need
Sure.
came when you had a little bit of experience, when you saw the context outside, and we plunge into it at appropriate time. For some, it is more about figuring out what to do. They want to leave the sector, but they're not sure how to go about it. Now, when you say upskilling options, again, there are many, but that depends on what a person wants to do. Whether he wants to utilize his experience and do something based on that, or whether he wants to do something altogether. Then the person should need to be ready to, in terms of like if when you're entering into uncharted territory, again, it's more of learning phase, developing your skills, developing your knowledge. So that challenge you should be ready if you're going into uncharted territory. Or maybe in your same stream, get into options which are more workable for you. Like for example, that can be categorized from a stream. Like for example, IT also has got a lot of options. Maybe like if you don't want to do I can speak about IT because I was in IT. When you don't want to do a more of a development, or I mean in terms of a proper delivery role, you can maybe get into some roles like technical writing or something like that, content writing. Okay, where if you are interested, again it depends on the interest. If you feel that you want a manageable, if you feel this role is not manageable for you or something like, so that is one option people look. Because I have had clients who said me that no, this role delivery, although I feel I'm good at it, but I feel it is not, I am not able to manage the handle it or manage the pressure, as you say. So I want something, I want to do something else, but I'm not sure how do I go about it. So for these people, I would suggest like first of all, go through the options, all this like LinkedIn learning, things like that you have. So go through courses and get an idea of what it is before you plunge into it, whether you are okay with it, and then plunge into it. Okay. So when I have to take, I mean when I have to address all this through my counseling procedure, it is more about, see, I have a process where a decision is taken, and also the client needs to, I mean together with the counselor, come up with a plan on how does he want to go about it. So usually after the session is over, like okay, I have decided to enroll to this course and this is how I want to go about it. So that clarity, that should be there. Okay. Otherwise, I think in terms of upskilling and for women, depending on their need, their interest, there are a lot of options. I think there is no dearth of information and options. It's more of the mindset change which people have to come up with. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
So
So
I think more or less
thanks Deepa today. Are there any further questions? Else we can end the session.
any questions about maybe my process or in general you want to know
No,
about, or
size session.
okay.
So thanks Deepa.
Okay.
Thanks for making it here today, and for people who attended, feel free to reach out to us if you need, any kind of support or help. Just feel free to connect with any of us, and we can connect you to the concerned person, or if there's anything that Sechis can help you with in your career dilemmas, please feel free to connect with us. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you
Bye.
so much. Thank you everybody for being part of this session. Bye.
Thank you. Lovely to have you with us, Deepa. Thank
Yeah,
you.
same here. Bye.